And I told you before we hit the break that our guy Bruce was going to stop by to chat officiating. And Bruce, yesterday during the ball game, there were more than a few questionable calls from the home plate umpire. Doug Eddings had somewhat of a rough day back there. Do you think this could be one of the reasons why there's so much chatter right now about the implementation of ABS?
Well, but that's only for two calls for each team during a game. That's really not going to solve the issue of an umpire that's considered not getting the job done.
How about Doug chirping early on? He was like, I know, I'll get better, I'll be better, but I don't want to hear it.
Isn't that a big part of the game, umpires?
Well,
Hasn't it always been a part of the game? If you have frustration, you have nowhere to go. So the ABS system is being tried. Let's get into that.
Okay.
The ABS system is going to be tried, and hopefully the commissioner gets the players to agree, because they must agree to this next year. There'll be two calls for each team to be able to appeal. If you get them wrong, you're without them. And the key thing to this, Elise, is pitcher, catcher, and hitter are the only ones that can call it, and they must ask right away. Your thoughts?
I love it. I think it should come to Major League Baseball. I've enjoyed watching it throughout the minors. What is that? Like, if looks could kill. What is that look that you're giving me? Do you not like it?
I don't necessarily love it. I feel like if there was a better umpiring system in place, then maybe it wouldn't need to go to these calls, because there's seemingly bad call after bad call after bad call behind home plate. Now, being a home plate umpire, it's not a right. It's a privilege.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're not held accountable.
It's a job.
It is a job. However, if you're not doing everything you need to do to fulfill some of those job requirements at your chosen profession, do you get to do the
How many times
top
are
the
best player in the game doing his job?
Well, that's a little bit different, though.
No,
Wouldn't you agree?
No.
There's the human element.
It's not. How many calls does an umpire have during a game?
A home plate umpire, at least 100 plus. Obviously, every single pitch
100
you have
plus
to be
on
on
each
point.
side. Yeah, no. So what I'm saying is perfection what we're looking for in the game of baseball? I think that's the question. Or improving it to the point where, you know, if a player gets upset with a 3-2 call in the first inning, should he challenge it at that point?
Well, that's part of the strategy, and that's what guys are doing in the minors. So I see it as it's not about perfection, it's about getting the big calls right. A lot of times with that strategy, you won't see guys use it in the first maybe 3 innings or so. Maybe if there's something.
But at least they're not coaches or umpires.
What do you
They're
mean?
not coaches or managers. They're going to react on emotion.
Not necessarily. I think it's having a feel for the game, and I think that it's literally you go in like as a team. There's the individual element where you might believe I need to use this challenge right now, or there is a team approach that says this is how we are going to use these. Don't use them in the first or third. Like maybe that's what they're instructed to do.
But in the third inning with the bases loaded and a 3-2 count,
then maybe they
that
will.
might be. Well, but it's up to the player.
Correct.
Not to the manager. So
but I don't have a problem with that.
Well, that's a big distinction. You know, you're putting managerial.
But they're the ones in the box.
You're putting managerial duties on a player.
I don't see it as managerial duties. I think when players are at the plate, they know the strike zone really well. And so that's why you see them argue calls and have conversations, because they have a feel for it.
And at least 50% of the time, according to the statistics, things are overturned, okay?
It has to be situational. And what we just saw, if we can run this one back again, the control room, I know they have that re-racked for us. The play that we just saw that was challenged, boom, looks to be a strike. But hold on a second. You have to catch the ball for it to be deemed a strike. I mean, the ABS system, you can challenge it, but if the catcher can't catch the ball, guess what? It shouldn't be a strike. There should be rules and stipulations within some of those parameters.
You know, the human element, Elise is right about one thing. The human element.
About one thing.
well, this thing, and that is catchers can be the best friend to the pitcher.
Absolutely.
And they can be the worst enemy by moving too quickly and blocking or distracting an umpire's view. So the ABS system could help with that, okay, in very big calls. Unfortunately, if you use these calls they're not overturned, you don't have it in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. I would prefer that this system, if put in, goes in the last 3 innings of the game. Okay.
Elise, what do you think? Do you
I think there's
it's
an entertainment factor
going to derail some of the overemphasizing of trying to steal strikes? I mean, you got guys that are catching ones down here, and then hold on a second. Don't insult the umpire's intelligence by trying to frame a pitch that's a foot and a half out of the zone and try to make him think that it's a strike. The ABS, it's going to correct that.
Yeah, and most likely you're not even challenging stuff like that, because if it is like that egregious in a guy's gut.
Again, when you don't have any emotional involvement.
But I feel like the reason they
way.
want to bring it to the major leagues is because they're testing it in the minors. I think there are two things that Major League Baseball is trying to accomplish. One, they want to get calls right. So there's the human element. So how can we increase the rate at which we're getting calls right using technology in this case? And two, I do believe there's an entertainment factor for it. It is really fun when a guy taps his head and then you look up at the big screen and you get to see who's right and who's wrong. Tennis has done that. Now they've actually done away with it and they're just using technology. But when it first came to the sport, when it first came to the sport, it doesn't take long. It's exciting. And I don't really see a problem. I don't see a problem with it. So
the only problem with it is it will lead to people wanting it all the time.
Oh, yep.
And then eliminating umpires.
No, you mean the robo-umps? Because that's different than
step.
ABS.
Yeah.
This is the first step.
I think first you see how this goes.
Okay, it goes well, and then it's like, what do we need the umps for?
Let's circle back to this.
Just to clarify, for the robo-umps, there are umpires out there. They're just getting the call. So it's not like we'll see a field without umpires, just if people at home didn't know what the robo-ump situation is. They're getting fed ball strikes.
It is going to usurp the ability of the umpire to be considered good at what he's doing.
Would we even have this conversation if umpires behind home plate were held more accountable and every single season they had to pass a battery of tests to make sure that they're qualified enough to be back there behind home plate? Because this is the best of the best, the elite league in all of the universe. Major league pitchers, they're throwing triple digits with regularity, and sometimes, not to take anything away because I'm getting up there a little long in the tooth myself, if you're a certain age and you cannot show that you have the ability to go back there and call balls and strikes, then guess what? You can umpire first base, you can umpire third base. Maybe that's just a young man's game, Bruce.
Maybe that's not a bad idea, but I do like this used from the seventh inning on. I really like the idea of this because that's the concentration. You know, we can go back and say, oh, gee, if this would have happened in the first inning, that might have changed the entire game, which is right. But to me, the motion and the impact of the game at the end, I think this might be more effective.
I like the strategy that's involved when it's the entire game, because sometimes it's not the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning that there's that one call that's impacting the game. Usually it's the one we remember the most, and that's very impactful, especially if it is in the 9th. But I like the idea that you've got to decide when are you going to use these, because I do think it enhances the entertainment factor. I mean,
just remember what it's called, ABS system.
Oh, I like that. I thought you were going with anti-lock braking system back in the day.
I'm here all week.
In the
I take it you don't like it overall.
All
Got
about
it.
that advent of technology. The Cubs 17-6 over their last 23. So what they need to do today is go out there and not let the umpires put their fingerprints on it. Bruce, good stuff as always.